And I realize now that I am muted. And I might have been muted the entire time I've said this. So shout out to everyone joining us on Player One Taco YouTube, 0x Degens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn, Rumble, Kick, and on-chain via Base and on-chain via Sol Media Tech and Filecoin on Solana. Thank you, Sol Media Tech. But we have the one.
I always wanted to be on Rumble.
Oh, of course, Rumble. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you only Lou. Lou.
All right. It's great
How
to be
are
here.
you this morning?
I'm doing well. I am, as you know, we're working on this AI Web3 accelerator, and there's a ton of work to do, but we're having a blast, and I think we're adding a lot of value to the ecosystem.
Oh, that is that's an easy W right there, adding value to the ecosystem. But you do so much more than just the AI cohort, and like the people think that accelerators are easy. You know, how many accelerators have you been part of? Have you been part of any accelerators?
I've been part of a lot. My very first startup, I was an equity analyst on Wall Street for the first third of my career. And in January of 2000, I left Wall Street, quit my job, left my family in New York, and moved out to Los Angeles to join. I was the 55th company in the Idea Lab Accelerator.
Tell people what the Idea Lab Accelerator was for those that are too young and dumb.
Yeah, it was really incredible. It was, and it remains, the original internet incubator, started in Pasadena in 1994 by Bill Gross. Last I heard, when he did a TED Talk in 2015, they had started more than 250 companies, including 8 unicorns. And what I believe to be the greatest business idea in the history of mankind actually came out of Idea Lab, and that was paid search. And Google laughed at them at first, according to the book, The History of Search, and then eventually copied them and executed better. But they sold that company overseas to Yahoo for $1.6 billion.
Yeah, paid search. That's one of those things that people forget, the biasness that you try to, yeah.
I mean, that was the assumption. Google laughed and said, "Oh, we'll never do that. That's never going to give quality results."
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is one of those really hilarious things there. We've seen that change, and we've seen how much that has grown.
And continues to grow, right? It's crazy.
Continues to grow. But what, so after that.
By the way, do you know what AdSense is?
Yes, a lot of AdSense.
Yeah, my ads in my first company out of Idea Lab, we wrote AdSense.
Okay.
So that was a piece of internet history.
There's internet history there. So you've had a big chunk of Web3 history in your own life, Lou. You get to talk pretty much 3 to 4 times a week when like things are kicking about with other founders and pull out their history. You've been grinding at this for a while. What's your story? Where did you start?
So my genesis was December 13. A really good friend of mine called me and said, "Bitcoin's a thing don't be an idiot, click. And quite often when I want to learn about something, what I still do today is I'll hold a conference call, get the smartest people in the world on the call to teach me about it. And they come because I've been an audience that they want to reach. And so December of 2013, I held a conference call with 4 guys, all billionaires now, like Wences Caceres and Barry Silbert. And I've done this more than 100 times. This is the only time that the Wall Street Journal live blogged one of my conference calls. And they live blogged it starting by saying, we're on a conference call being held by Luke Turner, Wall Street's Bitcoin expert. So that was my first minute in. Now obviously I was not, but that became truth to a lot of people. But long story short, I went down the rabbit hole 5-10% of my time for a year, but the whole time the price was going down. And I think it's harder to see when the price is going down. And then I moved on to shinier objects, but it was always there in the background. And then January 29th, 2017, when ICOs were going up and to the right, I held a conference call again on ICOs because I wanted to learn. And literally somebody said something, Olaf Carlson, and I saw the crypto light, and I've been crypto 24/7 ever since. And I now know that occurrence has a word called gestalt shift, where one moment you see the world's one thing, then you get new information, and the world is something completely different. And what I saw was, for the first time in history, we have a tool set to solve for the community instead of the man in the middle. And I think crypto is infinite, and I think everybody sees something different when they see it based on their unique life's experience. And the second company I ran was called Bolt, and it was the largest social network in the world before MySpace. And so I'd been thinking about community for 20 years. I invested in it was called Bolt, in post social media companies like Facebook when it was private, and Meetup. That's why I became, started my first meetup, because the CEO kept on saying, when are you going to start a meetup? When are you going to start a meetup?
Yeah. And so that was when you started Crypto Mondays.
So the genesis was, when I first got into crypto, like the hottest thing in New York was a party at the Galaxy office every Wednesday. And it was run by this guy, David Namdar is still, an epic guy in crypto. He's down in Puerto Rico now. And it was a tough ticket to get. And, it took me a while. And finally, I was able to get in, and it was really fun. But then other people kept on asking me, and it seemed to me just to be a little antithetical to the whole open crypto thing.
Yeah.
And then one day I got an email from a bar restaurant saying, hey, you do meetups. We're a bar restaurant. If you want to do a meetup on a Monday, we'd be happy to host you for free. And I replied 2 seconds later, assuming it was a dive bar, hey, thanks for your kind offer, but what I really like is 10% of the bar in every Monday till the end of time. And they said, great, when can you start? And we started January 8th, 2018, which was literally the peak market cap day for 2 years. We were celebrating crypto winter, and we had 300 people at the first one, 350 people, and 3 TV crews at the second one, and the best story in Crypto Monday history at the second one. And decided to blow it out around the world, but decentralized. And we started off with no rules, because we're decentralized. Why would we need any rules? But after about 3 months, I needed to institute one rule, which still holds today. And the one Crypto Mondays rule is you're not allowed to email me to ask me permission to do something. What part of decentralized didn't you fucking understand?
Yeah.
And everybody likes that rule.
But you've created a template though for Crypto Mondays.
And now we're 57 active chapters around the world. I have been there opening up faster than I could too. I've been to 35 so far, and I bet you I've probably been in like 5 with you in different cities.
Oh, I think we've been in more than that, at least 5 different countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This one being Brussels.
Yeah. That was a good Brussels. Brussels was really good. That was the that building, that entire building was rented out and yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, the city of Brussels was a little grim.
Yeah.
But other than that, and it was actually weird. I don't know if you ever got like to look down on it, but like I went to some event on the 27th floor somewhere, and that was really the only time that I felt like I was looking down on it. And looking down on it, it was actually really beautiful.
Yeah. There was, I went to one event that was a chateau on an island in the middle of a park.
Yeah, now you're just bragging.
No, it was literally you had to take a little ferry to
That
get
sounds
to it.
awesome. Yeah.
And like there was like these hidden little gems in there, but it was one
Yeah,
of
I
those
went
things.
through. Yeah,
Yeah,
I went through some spectacular parks. I don't know if you walked through many of the parks, but
some of them.
yeah, I mean they had huge parks with massive fountains and.
Well, you want to know the coolest place I've ever gotten to share a meal with you with?
Yeah.
Paris in the Louvre
Oh my God.
under the glass pyramids when we got to have that dinner.
That and again, you never cease to impress me. Is you're always that's one of the highlights of the 70 plus years I've been 24/7. Oh my God, to be able to be one of 300 people to amble about the Louvre.
Yeah.
It felt otherworldly.
So for me, I remember you were the one that was like, you should just go walk around and go see the Mona Lisa by yourself. And it was one of those things where I was just like, it was magical. There was like a string quartet playing like Lady Gaga covers, amazing food, but like each individual that was there was a powerhouse in their own right in some way, shape, or form, and it was just an amazing night. I felt like a total fish out of water. That is why I did not go look at the Mona Lisa all by myself. I did not trust myself. I was afraid I might go make some content or something like that with it,
Well, in that case, it's a good thing you didn't go.
Yeah, so, but all right.
I actually don't know if he ever met, and right for, as I'm sure you remember, but obviously your listeners wouldn't, is that Paris Blockchain Week started as Crypto Mondays Paris. It was Crypto Mondays Paris was the 5th one that started in May 2018. And do you know Mike Lamar, the guy that started it?
I do.
Mean, Mike is really an epic guy. He's really, an impresario. Like every year it gets better and better. For me, and obviously I have some bias, but I've written that it's one of what I think are the 3 great crypto conferences in the world. The other 2 being ETH Denver and Tokyo 2049, which is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Token 2049 is amazing. ETH Denver is amazing. So when Paris,
I have not been to DevCon. I'm going to DevCon for my first time this year. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bangkok. And then SmartCon is in Hong Kong this year as well.
When is that?
SmartCon, that is the conference sort of hosted and dedicated around Chainlink. It's a good conference there.
My first company I started in November of 2017. I got the URL. I couldn't believe that cryptooracle.io is still available in November of 17. It's a good URL.
Hey, it's a great URL. You would be surprised by the amount of URLs that are still available for things that you're like, huh, I would thought that would have been gone by now.
I won a contest at South by Southwest in 2011. We just put $100 in, and then 10 of us all came up with domain names that would actually describe a business that was available. And I won with, and then you had to describe in a quick sentence, what the business was. And my winning one was repivot.com. Your first pivot doesn't work, repivot.com.
That seems to be like the new buzzword of Web3 and now AI. Pivoting.
This was literally in 2010 or 11. So this is new. I mean, that is what personally. I mean, I think that's what startup is. What startup is, like the winners in startups are the ones who pivot the fastest, right? Who learn and I'm, for me, I default to, and there are an infinite number of ways to skin the cat, but for me, I default to doing. I think you learn more by doing, and Elon has a great line, which is failure is inconsequential if it's not catastrophic.
Yeah. That is the good way to look at it, because you just got to keep on going, learning
I mean, how
from
many
your
rockets
mistakes.
did he fuck up? Right. It wasn't like he waited and waited till he was almost sure. No, he wanted to learn.
Yeah. So one of the big things you have with it coming up for the Crypto Oracle Collective is cohort number 2 of the
Yeah.
AI Accelerator.
Yeah. So real quick, as I call it, still need to get out the branding of Crypto Oracle Labs, which we're moving to, but it has 3 parts: Crypto Mondays, largest crypto meetup in the world; the Collective, which is a decentralized Web3 advisory service. We started in July of 2022 with 24 Web3 experts. We're now more than 300. We have a growing roster of clients, a trading token base, and and now that we have this many awesome Web3 talent all under one roof, we're now actually able to also build our own projects. And so the first project we built was the AI Web3 Accelerator. And we finished cohort 1, and there were 10 really great companies. And for the first time around, I thought we provided really significant value to the companies that went through. And we did it all ourselves. Didn't raise money from everybody, and everybody who participated and added value, received a part of the what the collective was paid for hosting the accelerator. And I think it's a super compelling model. And it was really I thought the best example of the power of the collective in the community. And we're now looking at starting our second cohort, September 23rd. Applications are open. So that's a big part of the my effort at the moment is to get the word out about that. And you can go to our website, cryptooracle.io, and to the accelerator page to read more about it. We just put out a press release where we talk more about it. The success for us, what we're really trying to achieve is we base our success on 2 things. We survey the cohort members to make sure that they're happy. We're a service. We're a community. I go around giving a talk called 10 Thoughts on Community because I've been thinking about it for more than 20 years. And I start with, what is a community? And I define a community as an ecosystem where when it works, everyone gets more out of it than they give, right? And so what we want to make sure is that both of us feel like we're both getting more out of it, right, than we're putting in. And so the surveys, are our way of, optimizing for that. And then the second is the percentage of companies that get funded. Ultimately, that's what the big value that the majority of the companies are really looking to get out of the accelerator. Everything else, I think, is great icing on top that they really appreciate. But for the majority of them, raising capital to be able to get to the next level is really the key reason why they're joining the collective. And so that's a very significant part of the first program was 10 weeks. The second program is going to be 8 weeks, just given the timing of when it's happening. But there are going to be more workshops, and as good as the cohort 1 was, we made some mistakes, and undoubtedly cohort 2 is going to be even better. One of the interesting values we get too is we're the 2% that we get from each of the companies, we put into a pool, we tokenize, and we give those tokens to everybody who worked on the accelerator, and 10% of the tokens go to the cohort members themselves. And so they all have incentive to help the other cohort members. And even if, as sometimes happens, I'm sure everybody where in startup land, companies don't make it, you could still end up making a lot of money coming to the accelerator if one of your other cohort members is able to achieve its potential.
Yeah. And so I want to hit some numbers on that. Like, how many? There was 47 or 45 applications for cohort 1.
Yeah, I mean, we eventually ended up getting over 50, and
and you whittled it down to 10.
I would assume of all accelerators is it's a little more fluid than you would have thought, because we accepted 10, but 2 of them for various reasons didn't end up coming, and so we took 2 more, and one of them was actually way late in applying, but it was a super interesting company.
Yeah. And then out of those 10 that made it to the first through the first cohort, 8 of them made it to demo day. And from my understanding of those 8,
it was 10 and 9, and the one that didn't make it, you know, we're still working them and helping them. The reason they didn't make it is they were located in Israel, and they were spending some time on other activities.
Yep. Nope. And I know, yeah, I know their story and you know what some of the things that they were going through and everything like that as well. But of the 8 that made it through demo day for funding, 5 of them have been funded so far.
Nine presented at demo. Nine
presented.
Presented at the demo day. And by the way, we had a high bar, seriously, for the demo day.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting at what the different, you know, accelerators focus on. And, you know, again, you know, the infinite number of ways to skin the cat. But, you know, I would definitely think that we're, you know, in the upper half in terms of how much time we spent, you know, really helping them, you know, with, you know, starting. It obviously starts with the story. You know, they're telling a story. And it has to be a big story, and it has to be a believable story. And they have to be able to tell it very quickly. And so, you know, and that takes time to craft. And so, you know, and by the way, the stories obviously, you know, even iterate and change right during the course of the accelerator, sometimes multiple times. So, you know, it's dynamic and fluid, you know, but ultimately, you know, we are here, you know, to help them get that funding, get them, you know, the best story that they can possibly have. And so, you know, and everybody's also a reflection on everybody else and the accelerator. So we weren't going to let anybody present who wasn't ready.
Yeah. And so you've talked about some of like the issues that we had in cohort 1 to learn from cohort 2. What was the biggest takeaway learning wise?
I mean, the biggest, as you know, personally, you know, is, you know, just do it. You know, that tends to be what I default to. And, you know, again, you know, when I started off, I would have been nice to have some money. I had some conversations with some folks I saw very quickly. You know, I mean, it was also, you know, crypto winter. That, you know, made, you know, people were interested, but nobody was going to write a check tomorrow. And so, you know, instead of waiting around, you know, we just, you know, I just started doing, and, you know, I really built the collective to be a Swiss Army knife for people, that anybody can come to the collective and use the collective to help them build, you know, whatever it is that they want to build in Web3. That's really the dream. And I would say, and you know, I think who's even crushed it better than me at leveraging the collective for that?
Yeah. Who?
Eric.
Eric's done a great job.
Yes, seriously. And it's awesome. You know, and I was, you know, I would point to people to Eric and, you know, look, Eric's really helping, you know, leveraging the collective, and he's adding, you know, massive value. And this is before we started the AI Web3 accelerator. And, you know, that's where I got the idea from, because I said, you know, that we could really, you know, given, you know, his unique talent and insights and abilities, you know, and the other folks at the collective, you know, I really thought that we could put on, you know, a accelerator that was really value add to the, you know, even though it was the first one, even though we would make some mistakes, you know, that we'd really be able to add value to the cohort members, and really, when they left, have them feel, wow, you know, I really got a lot of value from that. And, you know, I was proud, at least, at, you know, how large I think we accomplished that.
Yeah, I feel that you accomplished that, and that's why, you know, sort of really happy to see cohort 2 coming along, and applications. I've been sending that application out like crazy. You had gotten a ton of companies to sign on as like gift sponsors for participation / like, you know, support new projects.
People, you know, people just to be supportive, giving different things to the cohort members. You know, AWS, they're awesome. You know, they're in lots of, you know, different accelerators. You know, there were some ones that just, you know, we've got close relationships with for whatever reason across the across the collective. Like, I'm a big fan of DAP Radar, and they gave some services. And so, there are a number of things like that, and there'll be more in cohort number 2. And again, we really see this as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really trying to optimize for the utility that we're able to provide the cohort members, because the more utility we're able to provide them, the more they'll be able to provide us.
Yeah, and if my math is correct, we had 6 different countries represented in cohort 1.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the big surprises, was how international it was. I mean, we had 2 Harvard AI PhDs in Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Israel represented, and a lot of countries around the world.
Germany, UK, Asia, Africa. It was amazing to sort of see, and US and Canada. It was sort of amazing to see, how many people around the world are sort of all building towards one thing. Are there any numbers yet, and how many people have applied yet? Are there numbers we can talk about at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're already starting to come in. We had, people could put their emails in before it started, just to get notified when the apps were open. And I know there were about 40 of those. And actually, I haven't, one of the bigger guns we have, I have a email newsletter list that I've been, assembling for years before even I got into crypto. That's now like 26,000. And so that'll go out. But we've been working out some of the bugs as well. Just with not that there was anything significant, but just with the application process, we actually have a partner for that's super interesting, called Impact Rooms, that we're really trying to build a whole environment for in startups and investors to be a part of. So it's not just, hey, take a look at my deck, but really create an environment that's maybe deeper than that. And so they've been a great partner, and we got over 50 last year, and we'd anticipate to double that at least this year. The space is certainly growing. There's a lot, as much excitement as there was last year. I think there's even more this year. I mean, you're going around the world and seeing things. What are you seeing?
I'm expecting it to be twice that in the application phase. I know, like, the messaging for me passing out, it went out to roughly 17,000 people via like
You've got a big list, yeah.
And then one of the really big startup groups that I'm part of is York Seed, and I pass that into like every single York Seed hub. The York Seeds build hubs in like Helsinki, Australia, different cities in the US.
There's definitely AI going on in both those places.
Yeah.
And Web3, obviously.
Yeah. And so really pushed that out there, and a lot of questions, like, people are like, is this open to international people or outside this group? And I'm like, of course it is, and so it's one of those really cool things to where we've been able to see how much networks grow, the network effect, the network of networks. Oh my gosh, you're going to become professional with sound.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. See, when you talk, I listen.
Oh my gosh, I feel so special. And that's going to be the start of a great journey for just at least adding sound to.
And I'm sorry I wasn't able to get my my act together in time. My assumption was I was, but there's a lot of work to do.
There is. Yeah, I saw you were up early, so yeah.
But the good news is I'm always up early. The bad news is I got to go to bed early.
I want to touch on Crypto Mondays for a second. Are you coming to Korea by chance?
No, I mean, unfortunately, I really would love to. Unfortunately, the accelerators get in the way of my travel plans.
Okay. But
it's worth it, right? I mean, it's right. The bottom line is it is. I mean, personally, I have found it very difficult to, even stay 50% as productive when I'm on the road as when I'm working.
Yeah. And so are you going to be coming to Singapore for Token
Oh
2029?
yeah, no, I mean, I would not miss Singapore. And I still haven't quite decided where I'm going after Singapore. I just haven't had time to focus on it yet. The last 2 years, I've gone to Crypto Monday Saigon, which obviously I went back again because the first time was so great, and the second time was even better. The folks who put it on are amazing. It has by a wide margin the most females. It's like 40% females, which is incredible. And everybody's incredibly nice. They have a booming ecosystem. The whole country, you just feel like it's going up and to the right. Just walk, and people are nice. People are happy. It's very family oriented. And so it's the most penetrated crypto country in the world.
All right. I like that. I like the sound of that.
And last year, do you know Josh Lang?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you must know Josh. Yeah, Josh. Josh came to Saigon, and so we got to hang out. And if you know Josh, that's always a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, I last got to see Josh in when we were in Brussels.
Yeah,
for ECC. Yeah, Josh is a hoot.
Yes,
I love him.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And he's been a great brand ambassador for Crypto Mondays, obviously wherever he goes, around the world.
Yeah, and so I'm always hunting alpha. So Lou, out of some of the projects that are that are going to be applying for the accelerator this cohort, there was some amazing companies that was providing support last cohort. What are some of the companies that excuse me providing support this cohort?
People ask how's my TacoBytes. It was good except Taco died.
Taco died on TacoBytes.
Well, first, I mean, can I tell a good alpha story?
Of course you can.
Because I when I was on Wall Street, what they now call alpha, we used to call edge, right? And and I was on Wall Street for years, and I heard about edge, but I literally didn't quite know what it was. And it wasn't until I got to Goldman Sachs. I was an equity analyst, and my first day on the job at going to Goldman Sachs, the director of research welcomes me to Goldman Sachs, and he hands me a piece of paper, and he says, "Hey, your job is when you get a good idea, you call these 10 people in this order. Good luck." I'm like, I totally remember leaving his office thinking, "Hey, I can do that." And so a couple months in, I get a good idea, and I call the first guy, and I tell him my idea, and he says, "Wow, great idea. Thank you so much." Basically, all the guys do the same thing. This goes on for 8-10 months. Every time I call the first guy, great idea, great idea, great idea. Like the sixth time I call him, he says, "For the first time since you started calling me, I think you're wrong." And he tells me why I'm wrong, and I tell him why I think he's wrong. And he said, "Look, we can agree to disagree, but for the first time since you started calling me, I'm only going to buy half a position." And I'm like, "Well, I don't understand. If I'm wrong, why would you buy any position?" He said, because I know you have a piece of paper on it in front of you with 9 other names on it, and they're too stupid to know you're wrong." Okay. And that's literally when the light went off. Oh, that's edge, right? You know something that nobody else does.
Yeah.
Or and by the way, the important thing is it doesn't have to be nobody else. It can actually be a butt fuck a lot of people, but just a tiny percentage of the people who eventually will and care is the important thing. Yeah, I'm known for getting writing by for years before the first Facebook Wall Street Style research report, and it was already 16 billion. So it wasn't like I was the first guy to say it was good, but I was saying, "Oh my God, it's just begun." And that's the same thing, really about Bitcoin. Yeah, I was not the first. I wasn't 24/7 until June 29th, 2017. And I still don't think it's begun. Really, to me, it's like it's the internet pre-Netscape days.
Oh yeah.
It's still so hard to use it. Nobody really uses it to do anything. it's just more just a bunch of smart people and ideas.
What do you think, like, now that, like, we've started to see a lot of expansion of blockchains? Now we have Sony building their own public blockchain. We have a ton of Bitcoin layer 2s coming out. Where do you think that landscape leads to?
Well, I mean, for me, this is like, again, like the internet. So like in 94, when people said, "Oh, did you hear Sony opened up a website?" Does that make you think differently of what the internet is going to be? No, not really. Pretty sure Sony was going to come. Right. So, that's the way it is here. It was interesting. I was talking to, a guy who was like, first head of policy at Facebook. And he's still very involved. He talks to Mark, and he's telling some amazing stories. Including how Mark probably would finally admit that it was a bad idea to change the name to Meta, and thinking that the metaverse isn't a thing or isn't going to be a thing when it's just early.
Just early. Do you think Google Glasses, if they came out right now, they would be a thing?
Personally, I don't feel in any way that I'm a futurist. I think it is hard enough, seriously, to know what is actually going on now. That's what I try and focus on.
Yeah.
That it's actually going to be sustainable,
Mhm.
right? Hardly anything's sustainable. That's the problem. Anybody can grow for, can go like this for a little bit. But how do you really scale? And it's becoming, by the way, markedly more difficult, as more than 70% of all tech market cap over the last 10 years has gone to 7 companies.
Yep.
And I mean, that's, to me, it's that is the massive major story that has been going on in tech. I first started writing about it for my first time in January of 2017. That's what I saw 6 months before I saw crypto. And I said, when I saw it, I said, there's nothing on the horizon that I see having an impact on that. But the only thing that gives me hope is there's nothing constant to change.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the big war that we're on, and now, is against those guys for control of the AI driven metaverse.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great pushes come forward now through open source and decentralized AI. And sort of some of the leaders in the charge, outside, we have Manifest, but Morpheus has really taken a huge stronghold of, being a proponent of those building in open source and those building in decentralized AI. We're seeing a big push in all of that.
Yeah, look, obviously you're preaching to the choir. I think what Eric Voorhees is doing is great. At Venice.ai, he's actually, I saw, for whatever reason, I saw a tweet of his, like, matter of fact, stating that, in fact, January 6th was not an insurrection. Right. And look, everybody's welcome to their opinion. I happen to think it was an insurrection, but I also think that my opinion is no more valid than Eric's. But I went to, as maybe an arbiter, Venice.ai, and put in, was January 6th an insurrection? And it said, yes, January 6th was, and it gave a whole list of reasons why it was an insurrection. And what you have to appreciate is that Eric's is really open source. It's not just parodying what Eric believes.
Yeah. And that's one of the really great things we've seen about AI on the open source side. It doesn't just regurgitate what the training model and the biasnesses that are.
The people don't appreciate the depth of the rails that have put on. By the way, right, for us, right, they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they don't have any rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rails are only for us.
Yeah,
so we don't abuse the non-rails.
What the class, you can take one of the classic arguments of enforcement that government sort of has around guns. take guns away from all the lawful citizens, and who's going to be left with guns? Criminals. So you take open source and unrailed AI away from everyone, who's going to be left with open source and unrailed AI? Nefarious actors. You know.
So just for a moment, just to refute what you said. Yeah, I don't think they're really analogous to the degree that one of them I believe to be a positive thing and one of them I believe to be a negative thing. So I think correlating them in any way is not an analogy I would use. But look, my assumption is I really believe the people who spend the least amount of mind share on politics win. I assume that the government is going to fuck it up and they're going to fuck us. And if perchance something else happens, I am pleasantly surprised, and I am rarely pleasantly surprised. And I don't understand why you would need to spend any more mind share on it than that. The regulators are going to do what the regulators are going to do. I want to think as much about them as they think about me.
Yep. That's sort of like the good rule of thumb is the less time you're thinking about regulators, the less time they're thinking about you, because the idea is that you're acting as a good actor within regulation,
or unfortunately, I think you have three choices, right? If it's not allowed, you can not do it, right? You can do it and not give a fuck, or you can move somewhere where you can do it. Those are your three choices, I think. And by the way, those are all fair choices. And unfortunately, I think the people who have had a really mighty struggle are the people who have tried to do it here.
Yeah. And that's just because of the lack, in my opinion, lack of true regulation for people to know what to work within.
Because the government's fucked. And that is not going to change. It's not going to change if Trump wins. It's not going to change if Harris wins.
Yeah,
they're fucked all the time. All we do as a country is just switch between them, because whatever one's in, we go, fuck, these guys suck. The other guys have to be better.
Yeah.
And they are not. They're literally equally as bad. Like, you can take a look at any statistic on like the economy or jobs or whatever. There is no way of knowing like which party is in. It's just, they just fucked it up, and generally, and they'll continue to. And nobody's even talking about solving a single fucking problem other than putting up a wall.
And what problem does that solve?
Yeah, it's just it solves. There's this awesome chart, awesome chart, which shows by party what people think of the economy. And literally, like, the Republicans thought it was great. Well, Trump was president. Literally, the month that Biden won the presidency, it dropped, or that he started, right? Because people, if you didn't know there was a president, watch TV and know there was a president, you wouldn't even know there was a president.
Yeah.
Right. It's just something. It's like this soap opera that plays on television 24/7 that really is totally inconsequential to your life. But we're told that it's massively the only thing that both parties agree on in my Twitter feed. I really wish I could press a button and get rid of the politics. But the one thing both parties agree on is if the other party wins, it's the end of the country.
Yeah.
And I agree with both of them.
All right. We have a run up to the elections and stuff like that, and it's really weird how we've seen both AI and Web3 become major platforms for both political parties to sort of pay tribute to in some way, shape, and try to curry favor from. The tech industry is no joke of movers and shakers, and people know that it brings economic force and want to keep it on shore in some way, shape, or form. But it goes beyond that. you know.
I mean, I think to put the tech industry in a bucket, I mean, I personally don't feel that Peter Thiel speaks for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that he hasn't done some awesome things,
Yeah.
but he quite often has a very different view from my view.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the great thing about where we're at today. We are able to do that and still do what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about crypto is, I personally do not feel responsible for the way the world is, but I weirdly feel responsible for the world that I'm leaving my 3 kids.
Yeah.
And I feel the current system is broken beyond repair. And the thought of spending 1 second working to repair it seems like a wasted second. And maybe we can create communities that have rules that's what I think Bitcoin is. It's just a community with a set of rules. And I'm like, and my massive bullishness is because, the greatest communities are the ones that give the most utility to their community members. And I think Bitcoin gives, as much utility as any community in the history of humanity. And I think more people are going to see that every day.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Family, family it seems to be like the key factor for a lot of people that are building in Web3, talking about the future, building for generational wealth or building for their families. And we see tech companies say, or projects say, what they're doing is going to bring on the next billion people into Web3. It's about 3 weeks old, maybe 4 weeks old, but my pitch has changed on that. Instead of trying to bring on the next billion people, bring on our grandmas. Are you doing something that can bring on your grandma and that your grandma can use? Or are we still can't abstract stuff behind so much tech? And just our lexicon is a huge blocker.
Yeah, I think we're still remain early. For me, the analogy that I use, like from my career, I'm not sure if I told you this story before. I probably have. Is my first startup was the biggest streamer of video in the world in 2001, because we were streaming video as .tv for more than 200 broadcasters around the world. But it sucked because the pipes were too small. So I was running my second company, Bolt, and we were now the largest social network in the world. We had like 20 million kids on Bolt.com. And now the pipes, I felt, were finally fat enough that we could stream video, and you allow kids to upload video and stream it. And so there were 3 tiny companies that I talked to about buying. I did 8 acquisitions at Bolt over 3 years. And I bought the largest one. It was called Yashi. I bought it for 250,000, 5% of my company. The Jay Gould, who started, is still a good friend of mine. And a month after we bought Yashi, somebody uploaded a video called Lazy Sunday. It was an Andy Samberg Saturday Night Live video onto the number 2 site that I talked to about buying. And that day, that website became the fastest growing website in the history of the world. 6 months later, Google bought it for $1.5 billion. That was YouTube. And fast forward 5 years, Chad Hurley, the CEO, emails me and he says, "Hey, we're having our 5-year birthday party in San Francisco. We want to fly you out to San Francisco to tell the story. When you called us, that was the first time we thought, hey, maybe we're really a company. Somebody wants to buy us." So that sounds like fun. So I flew out, and Chad welcomed me and thanked me for coming. And I congratulated him on all the success, but I couldn't help myself. And I have to say, "Hey, Chad, if they had uploaded Lazy Sunday onto Bolt, we would have been YouTube." And he laughed really hard. And he said, "Of course you would have been." He said, "But why would my brother have uploaded it to your site?"
Yeah.
And I love that story because it teaches me 2 things. One, so much of success is lightning in a bottle, but it turns out there's a lot you can do to optimize lightning in a bottle happening to you. And for me, it seems like, just like we were building out the pipes so video could be a thing. And then at the same time as we did that, somebody had to then produce a video that people wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And all of this talk about, why aren't we building great apps that people want to use? I think lots of people are trying to build great apps that lots of people want to use, but the Rails still kind of suck. So, I think we have to work on both of them, keep on building better Rails and keep on building better stuff. And, hopefully we'll have our lazy Sunday moment.
All right. Yeah. I'm down for a lazy Sunday moment. I'm down for a lazy Sunday on a Saturday. Can we do that? Is that allowed?
Well, we have Crypto Mondays on Thursdays in San Francisco.
Yeah. I think sometimes we have Crypto Mondays on Thursdays in Denver too.
Yeah. Who ran it for a while? Ben Lakehoff ran it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And Crypto Mondays is, and just talked with someone who wants to help start it back up in Philadelphia.
That's great. Did you introduce him to me? I was just talking to somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy there. And we're seeing Crypto Mondays. I like to talk about Crypto Mondays, because people are like, oh, I don't have time to go to the conference or anything like that. I'm like, there's great Web3 communities in your own neighborhood, starting off with just doing a search either on like Eventbrite, Meetup, or like Luma for Web3 events near you. And more often than not, you might find a Crypto Monday in your area.
Yeah, there are 57 active chapters. Best way to find it is just to type in Crypto Mondays in whatever city you're in. And if there isn't one, email us and start one. It's really, we're decentralized, and you really get the benefit of being part of an organization that has a globally recognized name. We've been around for 6.5 years. But it's yours to run it, based on, everybody's trying to achieve something else in Web3, and everybody lives in a different city. And the question I get asked the second most is, well, if it's decentralized, how do you keep quality control? And I say, well, if people do an event that sucks, nobody goes.
Yeah.
Nobody ever. Yeah, I went to Crypto Monday Philadelphia 10 times and it sucked every time.
Yeah. And people think it's easy to do, but like to have a speaker every single week, let alone with like the Crypto Oracle Collective having a different speaker 3 times a week. Like the legwork that's put into that effort.
Yeah, thanks. Well, yeah, I did Crypto Mondays as a speaker every week for a few years. Actually, when I started it, I started the one that I wanted, which was no speakers, because most of the time, I'm sure you heard me say, I'm in a meetup and somebody's talking, I wish they'd stop.
Yeah.
But it turns out a lot more people come to an event if you have a speaker. Like literally, it will double the size of the crowd, because I guess a lot of people are either interested in the topic or just feel uncomfortable coming unless there's somebody speaking. And so then, okay, well, if I got to get a speaker, then I solved for myself again, and just, I wanted to keep it to a minimum because the value is really the networking. So I started doing 30-minute fireside chats. I'd spend 20 minutes of Q&A with me, 10 minutes from the audience. If the guy was any good, then he'd get mobbed by the crowd afterwards with questions. And that was great. The people who wanted to participate could do that. And everybody else got to network.
Yeah. And it has done great. And it does great. And you have an amazing team. I want to do a huge shout out to Miss Julie Lamb. Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. I describe Julie as like, she has pixie dust. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
That she's a part of. It's like sparkles.
Yeah. Huge shout out to like other huge people that have helped Crypto Monday keep going and everything like that. Like Abby, Yuri,
John Goldsmith.
Yeah.
The first guy that took it over when I left.
Yeah. Yeah. So many people have.
Yeah, it's a community. I mean, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. And seeing it grow, continue. And now Crypto Mondays or Crypto Oracle Collective is on its new phase now of running this cohort. and I'm super excited to see what kind of projects make it to the cohort, and so I think this is going to be really amazing.
There's certainly a lot of stuff going on, right? It's like this birth of this whole new, really two new industries. Yeah, again, as I said, I think earlier, I don't think this has even started yet. My favorite all time crypto tweet is from 2011. Some guy tweeted, I can't believe I sold all my Bitcoin at 6 cents. It's 80 cents now. Everybody thinks they're late.
Yeah.
And it still feels like, it hasn't really started. And that's why, right, we get all these wild swings because there's so much upside, right? That's by definition, the things with the most upside have the most volatility.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, the classic line is, if you cap the joy, or cap the pain, you cap the joy, and so I sold all my Bitcoin at $250.
Oh, if you bought it at a penny, you could be a billionaire.
Yeah. Well, if I had waited a week, or no, if I had waited 3 months, it jumped up to 2,300.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm a horrible day trader. And and for me, it like brings me, it's such a mind suck.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really gives you much other than like some adrenaline if you happen to trade in the right direction, which I was not doing well.
Yeah. No, that's one of those things where trading is its own beast. I hate giving trading advice. People want to know how I trade all the time. I am probably one of the worst traders to get advice from the simple fact that if I'm trading and actively trading, I trade on leverage. 200x leverage.
I'm pretty sure they call that gambling.
I don't
think that is trading.
I look at it as hopes and dreams, I understand leverage.
Isn't that the advertising line for most lotteries?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Quit trying to break my dream here, Lou. You're an honest man on this. Stop.
By a wide margin, the massive financial trend of my lifetime is indexing, because it turns out we all largely suck at it. So better not to use any of my insurance, just give it to an index, pay as little as you can, and just buy the market, because the market without any fees performs better than anybody, anything else. Unless for some reason, I do believe you can have an advantage. People do find edge in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
But that, no offense, doesn't sound like what you're doing.
No, I'm like, one of the great things about crypto is it takes that guardrail of that pain off, which means the joy could be limitless. But if you're only risking what you're willing to lose, then you know exactly what you're doing and what you're getting into.
No, that I agree. And look, I think, at the end of the day, anything that adds joy to your life, you should do. Rock and roll. I'm not making any value judgment on anything, but my sense is most people in Vegas seem to be very full of regret.
Yeah, no, my regrets are usually that I sell too early.
Yeah, for me, again, I try and take my emotion out of it, because I get, like everybody else, I get emotion as well. I personally, I buy Bitcoin every day. I'm an investor in Swan Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin every day. And I try to follow the one rule, the Michael Saylor rule of Bitcoin.
Tell it to everyone.
Yeah. Never sell your Bitcoin.
Okay. See, this is where I disagree with Saylor on this. it is only a store of value if you use it. If not, then it's just paperweights. So,
Nobody, the average person who holds gold makes less than one trade a year.
Yeah.
So people, this is not something that people trade or use or move.
Yeah.
This is something that, and it's worked. Gold has worked, right? For literally, what else has worked? Nothing else has worked like gold has worked for thousands of years. And now for the first time, there's something that's actually markedly better than gold.
Digital gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone can use it. No. So do I have a bag that I don't ever touch that I just add to? Yes. But I also look at the accumulation of value and using value to, rainy day funds, trips to being able to go to different conferences.
Oh, rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that money does not buy you happiness, but poverty does buy you misery.
Yeah. No. But
yeah. So hopefully you solved for that.
I solved for that. My number one thing with all of the different projects and protocols I'm part of, if it doesn't bring me joy, get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
If I do some, I'm in some protocols and projects. I'm not making money, but I'm having fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
I believe we're here for 2 seconds. I do not want to waste one of them.
Yeah.
When I told that, I got 3 sons, 26, 23, 21. When I told my kids that, my 23-year-old thought about it for a little bit and looks at me with a wry smile and said, "I'm sorry, can you repeat that?"
I like this, man. I like this man so much. Oh my gosh.
His favorite joke is, how many potatoes does it take to kill an Irishman?
How many?
0.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you heard of the famine?
Yeah. Nope. I picked up on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any case, yeah.
What was the third shit? Have you bought any shit coins, Lou? You are a very big, stable person. Have you deep dived into what I'm not even going to call it?
I look at everything, and I'm a very big believer in memes. I've written that I'm a believer in memes. I wrote a post, and it took me trying to pitch my own token, the collective token, which I was very proud of its token economics. I'm a bit of an aficionado, and I was so proud. And very quickly, I realized nobody gave a fuck because we live in a degen world.
Yeah.
And that's, it is what it is. It's like gravity. You can complain. Nobody gives a fuck. So, we are in a degen world where meme coins are a massive thing. One of the highlights of the 7 years that I've been here is I saw, spacing on his name, the guy who created Doge, Taka Crypto Money, San Francisco, Jackson Pollock, something like that. Jackson Palmer. And he was really upset, because he created this show. Stupid people were, and he thought maybe that people would make it worth $1 million, and now it was worth 100 million. It's stupid. And what I loved about it was that Doge is a community, and real communities don't give a fuck what their founders think. The community owns them.
Yeah. And that is one of the really cool things going on there. What we see in Web3 and then with the latest big public pushes of AI has been building in silence for a while now. So it's sort of great to see all of these sort of things come together. And I'm glad to hear that you are using Venice AI for your word questions. That
Venice is great. Yeah, Venice is great. I got to tell you, I really feel like Venice gives answers that are deeper than you can get on the others that have more guardrails. I'm surprised that Eric doesn't lean into them more heavily.
I think he tries to every chance he can.
He does, or for political reasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't understand him. I'm sure he's a smart guy. He's tried.
Yeah. All right. No. Yeah. No, Lou. Man, I see you. I do the same thing that you do. You when you want to learn something or when you want to talk about something, you surround yourself with people that you see as smarter than you to learn from them. Why do you think I bring you around so much?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's why I love doing what you do. Obviously, you learn a lot more. I mean, that's fun. Obviously, I like yapping, but I really like learning, and you learn a lot more when you ask the questions and when you answer them.
Yeah. And that's sort of because you get to guide the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
The pace, double back down
prefer
on
to moderate
questions.
a panel than sit on one.
Yeah, and that's both sides are fun. I got to moderate a panel at Rare Evo with one of my friends' projects and stuff like that, and I got to ask him some of the saucy questions that I would never ask a friend, but that you would ask someone on stage as a semi-doubter. Really, what is different about your project? What solution are you bringing, and why is this not X?
No, so, I agree. Yeah. I try not to do it as a moderator, but if I'm a panelist, yeah, I was sitting on a panel of consensus on community, and the guy in front of me is like, well, just introducing ourselves. The guy's blah, blah, blah. He goes, and those of you here for the money, fuck you. And everybody's, woo. And it's my turn. I go, hey, what he says, fuck you. I totally disagree with him. I said, those of you who are here for the money, I love you, man. Thank you. I realize when the money leaves, you're going to leave. And I get that. But I want to thank you for all the money you're going to leave behind.
And everyone was like, woo!
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, Lou, I want to wrap this up because I know you're super busy and I want to thank you for taking the time for this. I really wanted to sort of get a chance to deep dive into the AI cohort number 2 that's coming up. We've been pushing this around and I wanted to create some content around it. So is there any last things you want to say about cohort number 2?
Sure. I mean, we're really a community. So come, and I think we're here to give people an awesome experience. One of the members from our cohort, who really had a lot of feedback for us, ended up also becoming part of the team that ran the cohort. He ended up getting compensated for that. He's getting compensated for that again in cohort number 2. And so again, we're a community. You can come. The idea is we're here to serve you, in whatever ways make sense for you. And it's great that to see guys like Taco who become very active members for the community. They've been amazing contributors, and I feel it's been awesome, that it's a community that's worked really well, that he's, the community's gotten a massive amount from him. And and I think Taco's felt that, that it's, the idea is we've all been part of 2-person communities, right? We're 1 + 1 = 100. So I believe if you live in a world of community, you live in a world of abundance.
Yep. And that's sort of the way to go, I think. I look at the bright side, That's my take of it. Look at the bright side.
Yeah, you should finish with the Life of Brian song, right?
Always look on the bright.
Exactly. That's what I want to do with the collective call. I just want to layer a little bit more, so that could be the end of the collective maybe call. I'll play that.
That would be amazing. That's the tune out. That's the song out. Yeah. Dance off stage song. I have a really interesting way of ending this show. It's not with a song.
Oh, I'm making myself a note before I forget, in case I don't make it to the end when I watch this.
End with the Life of Brian song.
Exactly.
I think it's old enough too that it's not copyrighted anymore, or the copyright is CCO now. So yeah.
That's
all
funny.
Right. So this show ends with 2 things: words of wisdom and the greatest worst knock joke on the face of the planet. So since you are on stage, you get to help with words of wisdom. 10 seconds, Lou. Words of wisdom.
And when I called my dad and told him how much I hated my first job, and I thought he'd say quit, come home. He said, son, they don't call it work because it's fun. Click.
Okay. All right. All right. My words of wisdom are always the same. A closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity, opportunity can never come knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. I want to thank everyone for joining us for TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 730, live with Luke Kerner from the Crypto Oracle Collective, Crypto Oracle Labs, Crypto Mondays, a blockchain experience near you. Shout out to everyone on LinkedIn, Player One Taco YouTube, 0x Degens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, Rumble, Kick, on chain via Base, on Lonely, and on via Solana and Filecoin, thanks to Sol Media Tech. Lou, that was a long end up string there of things that I've put together. You get to help with the greatest, worst knock knock joke on the face of the planet. Are you ready for this? I've told this joke 729 times.
Knock, knock.
No, knock, knock.
Who's there?